Hello everybody and welcome to a very unusual video for my channel. We are starting out in my driveway because it is just a couple days before St. Patrick's Day and it is just too good out right now not to take the Mustang out and get it ready for another spring, summer, and fall season of driving. So today I'm taking the wrapping off. I gotta connect the battery and I gotta reset all the electronics in there. So I got my little basic IKEA toolkit in here. Let's get to unwrapping Ripley and take her for a wash and then get an oil change. So she is primed and ready to go for another year of driving. I really have not seen this car since Black Friday, which, geez, that's it's been quite a while since I've seen this car without the covers on. Now, one thing I absolutely need to do is take this to a commercial laundromat and get it washed, because this definitely will not fit in my washing machine in the garage over there. So for those of you who do not know the story behind this car, if you scroll all the way up to my oldest uploads, you will see a video of a POV test drive of my old Mustang. It was a 2003 V6 automatic, and I bought that car at the height of my SiriusXM career. I saw it on Craigslist one day and I'm like, there's no way that this can be real, but it was. So I bought that 2003 V6 automatic. I had it for a few years, and then the very first video on my channel that I uploaded was a POV test drive with the purpose of selling said 2003 V6 automatic. I sold it and I put the down payment on this beauty. I've always wanted to own this particular generation of Mustang. It's my personal favorite generation, even though, yes, it doesn't have the much more powerful and, quite frankly, much faster Coyote V8. The 4.6 is, in my opinion, among the best sounding V8s Ford ever put in the Mustang, and I just love this engine. And also, I just love how it looks, because just look at it. It's just a beauty. All right. The negative battery component. Let's, all right, I still got charge. Excellent, that's a good thing. Battery's connected. I heard the horn go off, which means we still have a charge, which we should, because that battery is brand new. I changed it last year. And, we're good. And now let's, see if she'll start. Oy. Oh yeah, it feels so good to sit in this car again. All right, moment of truth. Like I never turned her off. Awesome. So while the engine warms up and the oil starts circulating, because I'm not going to try driving this right now, I gotta wait for the engine to properly warm up. Let me tell you a little bit about the car. Like I said, this is a 2008 GT convertible, and I'm sure you probably saw it. It has a manual transmission. Now, the story behind this, I told you about my 2003 V6. I sold it, put the down payment on this. I've always wanted this particular generation of Mustang, because as a senior in high school, as the day after my project graduation, I went to my high school to get my transcripts to start my first stint of going to college. And one of the teachers was driving around in a brand new yellow GT 2005 model year. And I immediately just fell in love with it. I'm pretty confident in saying I'm never, ever going to own a true mid-60s classic Mustang, but this looks like as close to the 60s era Mustang as we're ever going to get. And I just absolutely love how this looks. It's got that perfect vintage retro body style. And yeah, it's definitely nowhere near as powerful as a new one. It's certainly nowhere near as powerful as the second refresh version of the chassis code S197 this is. Everything is completely bone stock on the car. I have not modified this in any way, mostly because I don't drive it enough to warrant modifications, but I do want modifications on it. When I was looking for a new Mustang to buy, I already sold my old one, and I found this one. Now, the only downside was it was in Chicago. So I contacted the dealer. It was on sale for $19,900, and it was actually a perfect price for it. It wasn't too expensive. It wasn't too cheap. It had one owner, clean Carfax, clean title. It was garage kept, which for a car that lived its entire life in Chicago, this is in pretty stellar condition. I reached out to the dealer. $19,900 was the price. I'm like, okay, that's great. You know, Carfax, Kelley Blue Book, all the sources that tell you a car's worth were basically saying to me the same thing. They were like, yeah, this is $19,900 is a good price for this particular one. So I made the offer. I want to buy it. And they're like, okay, we want $7,000 down for it. I'm like, get the hell out of here. That ain't happening. I'm not putting just about half the value of the car down. My credit score was pretty much perfect, and I have a fantastic history of paying my loans and paying my debts on time. So half the value of the car, no, I wasn't going to swing that. So I said to him, thank you, but no thanks, and I walked away from the deal. About 2 weeks later, I get a call from the dealer. Final price, $15,000 with $2,000 down. Sold. I took the first flight I could to Chicago O'Hare, went to the dealer, signed the papers, and I drove it right back. And I asked the dealer, you know, if you don't mind saying, like, why the drastic price drop? You know, is there anything wrong with the car? And there wasn't. When I pulled up to the dealer, I looked underneath. Not an ounce of rust underneath this. Not an ounce of rust or wear on the engine. It was perfectly clean. And they're like, well, to be quite honest with you, it's February, it's in the middle of Chicago. No one wants a manual transmission convertible sports car that is from 2008. And also every Mustang enthusiast wants the Coyote Mustangs. They don't want the 4.6 V8 Mustangs. So I'm like, I do. So that's how I came into possession of this car. I bought this in 2023. It's been my summer. I've never used this as a daily, but I've used this as my summer, once in a while, drive out and have fun car, and especially date night car. So this has been a wonderful machine to own, and I love it. I absolutely love this car. And for those of you who haven't figured out by now, I quite am fond of automobiles, and also the color red. The fact that the Golf is red is just a coincidence. I was actually going to buy a black one, but that deal fell through, so I found this one and I bought it. But this one, I wanted dark apple candy red. I wanted the V8, I wanted a manual transmission, and I wanted a convertible. I've never owned a V8 Mustang. I've never owned a convertible before, and this literally checked every box I had. And also, when I bought it, the previous owner was a retired Army veteran. This was his retirement present to himself, and he bought it brand new when he retired from the military, but unfortunately he had a stroke and could not drive it anymore. So his family had to convince him to sell it. So he ended up selling it to the dealer so his wife can get a more family-friendly vehicle to drive him around. I think they ended up buying a Lexus, just like my landlords over there. But nevertheless, they traded into the dealer, and that's how I came into possession of it. The previous owner took such good care of this thing that I didn't have to do anything to it. And the total amount of miles that it had on it when I bought it, 33,000 miles. Now it has almost 57,000 miles, but you know, I buy a car because I want to drive it, not because I want to keep it and look at it. I want to keep it and look at it, but I also want to drive it. So I want to talk to you guys in this video about New Year's resolutions and 2025 goals. I know it's kind of weird to talk about this while we're in the middle of March, but still, it's kind of important. So at the end of last year, I saw the single biggest growth of any social media that I've ever had in my life. You guys really seem to have loved my content. You guys love what I'm doing, and especially with the Mix Sound Meltdown videos, you guys seem to really love those. So I'm happy that my channel is where it's at right now because of your guys' support. That's amazing. But I also wanted to talk about exactly like what I have goal-wise for 2025. The first main goal is something that I already accomplished. I came back earlier this week from a tour experience, and I can now say I experienced life on the road with a band. It's something I've always wanted to do, and it's something that I've always aspired to do. So I'm happy that the guys in Surrender to Eden took me along for the ride, and I'm grateful for it because that is truly one of the best experiences of my life, period. I'm so thrilled that that I got to experience that, especially with a very talented band too, and a bunch of nice guys. It was also completely stress-free as far as the band goes because no one in the band is a heavy drinker, pot smoker, what have you. Everyone is super chill, and we all went to bed pretty early at the end of every show. So that was pretty awesome to experience. So I've already accomplished one of my 2025 goals, which is experience life on the road with a band. And for those of you who remember my Hot Take Tuesday video where I went off all the lists of driving sins, here's one of them right here. You're making a left, move over so traffic can pass you. Why are you obstructing the flow of traffic? Asshole. Anyway, so let me run down the rest of my 2025 goals. For starters, I want to break 50,000 subscribers by the start of summer, and I think I'm going to accomplish that. I'm right now around 48,500, so around 1,500 subscribers to go until I reach 50,000. I want to be able to break 50,000 by Memorial Day, so that is a very short-term goal I want to have. Another one is I want to go to WrestleMania, and I'm going to do that with a couple friends of mine next month. That's going to be awesome. We're kind of sort of making this a little tradition here. We went to WrestleMania last year, and we're gearing up to go to WrestleMania again this year in Las Vegas. I've never been to Las Vegas, so for those of you who have been to Vegas, what should I see? I am not a gambler, so that's kind of sort of defeating the point of going to Vegas, but I don't like gambling at all. So if there's anything like nightlife related that we can do while we're out there, let me know. I mean, we're mainly going there to go to WrestleMania, so I may have the Thursday night when I'm flying in, and I may have all day Monday before I fly home Monday night. And by the way, if any of you want to actually meet up in Vegas, I will put up a notice on the community section on my page where we'll be hanging out, what bar we're going to, and you can all come by, hang out, have a drink, and nerd out with us as we most likely talk about pro wrestling the whole time, because that's why we're going to Vegas. A big goal of mine is to pay off this car entirely. So guys, full disclosure, I financed around $14,000 for this to include title, taxes, and all that. And I am roughly about $1,500 away from paying this off. My monthly payments are around $230. I've always paid way more than that to go towards the principal. So again, I don't want to pay that much interest. So I am, like I said, around $1,500 away from paying this off, and I've had a very good March so far with real estate appointments, so I'm going to be able to pay this off by, I'd say, mid to late April. I think I'll be able to pay this off. So I will be able to pay this off entirely and own this outright by Memorial Day. And that's going to be amazing. I will have one less payment to have. I will have one less payment I'm responsible for. So that's one big mountain of debt that's already taken care of, is the loan for this car. And the only other loan that I would have is student loans, of course, and the golf. And that is it as far as debt goes. So I'm very excited to now start really tackling my student loan debt and pay that off. And long-term goals, I want to travel internationally. I want to be able to use my passport to go somewhere this year. I don't know where I'd want to go, even if it's just going to Canada. Like, I want to travel internationally and use my passport. So that's something I really want to do, and I hope I can accomplish that this year. I've always loved going to the car wash. Specifically, I love this car wash because they wash everything by hand. Now, I could wash everything by hand myself, but I'm fully admitting I am being lazy right now with this, so I'll let these guys do it. They do a fantastic job here. This is called Town Hand Car Wash near Piscataway. So it protects the paint, they don't scratch it, and the car comes out looking fantastic. Oh yeah, she looks so good right now. These guys do a phenomenal job every time I come here. Only downside is now I gotta adjust my seat again because they always seem to move it. That's okay. Small price to pay for salvation, as Thanos would say. Not to end on a grim note here, but I'm going to end the video with a couple of pretty personal goals for 2025. First and foremost, I need to lose a little weight. I am currently sitting around 235, and I'm certainly a lot lighter than I was at my heaviest. My heaviest was 385. I mean, I'll superimpose a picture right here. This is me with former Governor Chris Christie, and as you can see, I'm clearly fatter than Chris Christie. I posted this image with the caption, "For once I can say I'm the thin one in the picture," and a couple of my friends and even my mother reached out to me and were like, "Yeah, no, you can't." So that was the wake-up call I needed. That was in, I'd say, 2015, 2016, around that time. And I've been gradually, slowly losing weight since. I am right now at my old high school weight. I played defensive end, and I was way more muscle back then than I am now. But I would like to get around 200 pounds. I would like to break the 200-pound mark this year. And I would really, really much like to have my weight start with a 1 instead of a 2. Even though it's no longer starting with a 3, that's excellent. I would like to lose enough weight so that I can say I'm below 200 pounds. So that is the first real personal goal that I have of 2025. The second is I want to sort of go coincides with losing weight. I want to get my type 2 diabetes under control. I was recently diagnosed with type 2, and with every meal I have to take, I have to inject myself with some insulin, and it's not really pleasant. I wouldn't recommend it. Now, my doctor did say that if I lose enough weight and I get my blood sugar under control, there is a very good chance that I can get rid of my type 2 diabetes. But until that happens, I'm at the mercy of high blood sugar high cholesterol, and all of the wonderful things that come with being type 2 diabetic. And of course, everyone wants to improve their mental health. I mean, who doesn't want to be a little happier with life? So that, you know, that goes along with it. But I want to end on this final note. And this is kind of sort of a very selfish goal to have, but I want to say no more in 2025. And what do I mean by that? I struggled with depression. I say that in past tense. I still do from time to time. I was the quiet, shy, nerdy, fat kid, so I was a pretty easy target back then. And that got me to morph into what some people call a people pleaser. I say yes to a lot of things because I don't want to upset anybody, and I am terrified of confrontation, and I just don't like it. So essentially, I would end up sacrificing my own happiness, whether in my personal life, whether in business, whether, you know, anything. I would rather sacrifice my own personal well-being for the sake of not upsetting anyone else. And that's not healthy. So it really is not the best way to go about life. And because of that, I've been burned, taken advantage of, and just outright disrespected one too many times in my life. And it's to the point now where I don't give a shit anymore. Like, I'm going to say no to people, and if you don't like it, if you think I'm being a dick, if you think that I'm rude for saying no or taking lowball cash offers for my work, my services, fuck off. Like, I'm not going to entertain any business offering or personal offering of, you know, working with people, you know, opening myself up to relationships with people if they're not going to benefit my well-being. You know, not to, you know, sound like a 16-year-old schoolgirl here, but I really do need to eliminate all the toxic bullshit from my life, and saying no to people is going to eliminate that. I've already begun, like, sorting out my so-called friends with people who actually do give a shit about me, and it's been a night and day difference with my well-being. I mean, I glossed over a lot of things here, but I have been burned by musicians. I've been burned by people who wanted to hire me for, you know, whether it's sound, photography, anything. I've been burned one too many times and just straight up lied to and disrespected by so many people over the years that it really gets to the point where I had to eventually say enough is enough. And if that means if it means that I'm perceived as a dick by people, then so be it. I don't give a shit anymore. I don't care if people think I'm an asshole for looking out for myself. I don't care if people think that I'm a selfish prick for only working with people who actually want to work with me, instead of just taking whatever, you know, is thrown my way. No, I value myself way more than that, and I'm not going to let anybody tell me otherwise. I let myself get taken advantage of for years, and enough is enough. So going forward, I will lay out the prices that I am selling my services for, and if you don't like it, then I don't care. Then we're not going to work together. I'm not going to lower my prices and therefore lower my dignity and self-worth because you're too cheap to pay for quality service. Either pay me what I'm worth or go fuck yourself. And to add the cherry on top of all this, you know, it really used to bother me, and it still kind of does, if I must admit, when I reach out to people or I start talking to a potential client, whether it's a band for photos, for sound, or for anybody in general who wants to hire me for either of my services. We get talking, and the conversation usually goes to, oh yeah, great, you know, Chris, we'd love to work with you in some capacity, blah, blah, blah. And when it actually gets time to start talking about rates and scheduling the time to start working together, they just flake out. And that used to bother me a lot. And it used to bother me to the point where I would lose sleep at night wondering what I said, what I did differently, what I did to turn people off or whatever. And I guess that just boils down to the type of person I am. I'm not a bullshit artist. I'm very blunt. I'm very, honest about it, and I'm sometimes too honest for my own good. And if I'm being honest about myself, that makes me come off as cold, distant, and sometimes straight up dismissive, even though that's not at all what I'm trying to do. But what I'm trying to say is I used to let this shit eat me alive at night, and I used to let it really get under my skin. Now, I'm 38 years old. I'm turning 39 in late September, and I'm not about to revamp or reboot or restart my entire personality to just appease somebody. I make a decent living photographing real estate every day because real estate agents see my work, they know what I'm about, and I tell them straight up, this angle is going to sell this house way more than this angle, and they listen to me. If a band wants to work with me and they can't play to a click track, or they're just not ready for a studio, I'm going to be honest with them. I'll gladly take your money, but you're just not ready to do this, and the quality that's going to come out of this is not going to be what you expect or want. It's tough for me to be anything but blunt and honest with people, even if it's negative. So I'm just not going to change that about me, because I would be dishonest to myself if I were to lie to people like that, even if it's just a little white lie. I'm too honest for my own good, and that's just how I am hardwired. So that's it, guys. Those are my goals of 2025. What are yours? Let me know in the comments what goals you have for this year, what goals you already accomplished, and what goals you want to accomplish this year. The rest of 2025, at least, the best year ever. It's good to have Ripley back on the road, and looking forward to driving this car around for some summer adventures this year. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.